Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive.
Mhm.
Today, we are going to be looking at,
Exciting stuff.
Third Eye Awakening.
I know.
And we got a really interesting article sent in
It is an interesting one.
called Strange Experiences That Indicate the Activation of Your Third Eye.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, like right off the bat, even just the title,
Yeah.
that's pretty intriguing.
Yeah, what does that even mean? How does that even happen?
Right. What is going on? Like,
How do you know if it's happening to you?
is this real?
Yeah.
Right? Is
Yeah.
this like a real thing, or is this just like
Literally.
people kind of making stuff up?
I mean, I think that's something that I think a lot of people probably wonder about
Yeah.
when it comes to this topic.
Yeah. So maybe we should start by just defining like what are we even talking about when we say third eye?
Okay, yeah, that's a good place to start.
What is this thing?
So, you can think about it in a couple of different ways.
Okay.
Like the Ajna chakra that's often talked about in like yogic traditions.
Right. And in those traditions, it's seen as this energy center that's located right between your eyebrows.
Okay.
So like right in the middle of your forehead.
I can picture that.
Yeah, and basically it's thought to be like this gateway
Okay.
to higher consciousness, to intuition, to kind of like a deeper understanding of yourself.
So is it like a physical thing or is it like an energy thing?
It's a great question.
Okay.
I don't think there's like a definitive answer to that.
Okay.
I think it's probably both.
Okay.
I mean, our bodies are energy, our
Right.
thoughts are energy. So,
Right.
so I think, it's something that exists on that energetic level.
Yeah.
But then, there's also this idea that when it's activated,
Uh-huh.
you might actually feel physical sensations in that area.
Really? So like a pressure.
Yeah, like a pressure or a tingling
Interesting.
or even like a warmth.
I've never experienced that,
Yeah,
but maybe I'm just not there yet.
maybe not yet. Or maybe it's just subtle,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it can be really subtle for some people.
Right.
So, okay, so it's this energy center.
Mm-hmm.
And it can give us like kind of access to this different way of perceiving the world.
Okay, so then what does it actually mean to have it awaken?
Right. So that's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Because, it's not like you're just suddenly seeing like auras around everybody,
Right.
although that could happen.
Okay.
But it's more like a gradual shift in your awareness.
Okay.
And it can manifest in a lot of different ways.
So like what are some of those ways? Like how do you know
Give it a sign.
if your third eye is like waking up?
Right. Well, this article that we've got, it's great because it actually lists like a whole bunch of different signs.
Oh, cool.
And some of them are like really relatable.
Okay.
One that I think a lot of people have probably experienced is like increased intuition.
Okay.
Like, that gut feeling.
Yeah.
That you just know
Yeah.
something. Or you have like a premonition that turns out to be true.
Like you just know you're going to run into so-and-so.
Exactly.
Or you're going to hear from someone you haven't heard from.
Yeah, totally. Or like, you walk into a room and you just get this sense that something's off.
Right.
Like, something happened there.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's like a classic sign.
I like that one.
Yeah.
I feel like I've definitely had experiences like that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Another one that they talk about in the article is heightened sensitivity to light and color.
Okay.
Like colors might seem more vibrant.
Interesting.
You might start noticing like subtle shades that you never really noticed before.
Wow. So it's like your senses are kind of being amplified?
Exactly. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like everything's just a little bit more intense.
Okay.
And I've heard people say that like they start to see like auras or energy fields around people.
Really?
Yeah. It's like they can actually perceive the energy,
Oh, wow.
which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
I know.
So we've got intuition and heightened senses.
Yeah.
What else?
Okay. So this one I think is really fascinating. Vivid and symbolic dreams.
Dreams.
Yeah. Like not just, regular dreams,
Right.
but dreams that are like really intense and they have all this symbolism.
Uh-huh.
And it's like your subconscious is trying to communicate with you.
Interesting.
Like it's sending you messages.
So it's like those dreams that you wake up from and you're like,
You remember them.
I remember that. And what did that mean?
You're like, what was that all about?
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. And they could be like really powerful and transformative if you actually pay attention to them.
Okay, so dream interpretation becomes super important then.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's like a direct line to your intuition.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got intuition, we've got heightened senses, we've got dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other signs?
Yeah, there are a couple more that I think are worth mentioning.
Okay.
One is a desire for solitude and introspection. Like you might find yourself wanting to spend more time alone.
Mm-hmm.
Not because you're like lonely,
Right.
but because you're actually craving that inner connection.
Like you need to process.
Yeah, you need to like process and integrate all this new awareness that's coming in.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad thing?
No, not at all.
It's more like a natural part of the process.
Exactly, yeah. It's like you're going inward
Okay.
to connect with yourself.
I like that.
Yeah.
So are there any downsides to this whole third eye awakening thing?
That is a great question, and I think it's one that we should definitely talk about.
Okay, let's get into it.
Yeah, because it's not always easy.
Right.
It can be really challenging in some ways.
How so?
Well, as your awareness expands,
Uh-huh.
you might start to become more aware of like deep-seated fears and unresolved issues.
Oh, like stuff that you've been pushing down.
Yeah, exactly. Like stuff that you've been avoiding.
Yeah.
And suddenly it's like right there in your face.
Yeah. So it's like you can't ignore it anymore.
You can't ignore it. Yeah, and that can be really uncomfortable.
Right.
And it can also be challenging because you might start to feel like you're out of sync with other people.
Oh, like you're on a different wavelength?
Yeah, exactly. Like you're speaking a different language.
Yeah.
And they don't understand you and you don't understand them.
Oh, that sounds really isolating.
It could be really isolating.
Wow.
And then there's also the possibility of like physical symptoms.
Oh, really? Like what kind of physical symptoms?
Yeah, like headaches or pressure in your head.
Okay.
Some people even experience like dizziness or nausea.
So it's like your whole system's kind of like recalibrating.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a big energy shift.
Wow. This is a lot to take in.
It is a lot.
So it's not all like rainbows and sunshine,
No, it's not always easy.
but it sounds like it's worth it?
I think so.
I think so too.
Yeah. I mean, the potential benefits are huge.
Right. Like all that intuition and the connection and...
Yeah. And like, deeper understanding of yourself and the universe.
Yeah.
And a sense of purpose.
So how do you actually enhance this third eye activation?
Ooh, good question.
What can people actually do?
Yeah, like what are the practical steps?
Yeah.
Okay, so the article talks about a few different things.
Okay.
And one of the most important ones is meditation.
Oh, okay.
But not just like any meditation.
Okay.
There are specific techniques that are designed to stimulate the third eye. Like what?
Like, give me an example.
Okay, so one that's often recommended is visualizing an indigo light
Okay.
in the space between your eyebrows. So
Right.
you're basically focusing your attention on that area.
Right.
And you're imagining this like bright indigo light.
And is that supposed to like activate something?
Yeah, it's supposed to like activate and energize that energy center.
Hmm.
And it can also help to like calm your mind and clear away any mental clutter,
Right.
which is really important for third eye awakening.
Because if you're all over the place, you're not going to be able to tap into that.
Exactly. Yeah, you need to be able to like quiet the noise.
Yeah. Okay. So meditation is key.
Mm-hmm.
What about people who like have trouble meditating?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like I've tried meditating and
It's hard.
yeah, my mind is just like all over the place.
Yeah, I get it.
Are there other things people can do?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey.
Mindfulness is another really important practice.
Okay.
And that's basically about being present in the moment,
Okay.
paying attention to your senses,
Mm-hmm.
noticing your thoughts and feelings without judgment.
So it's like being aware of what's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
And when you're more mindful,
Yeah.
you're more likely to pick up on those subtle energies and intuitive nudges.
Okay.
It's like you're tuning into a radio frequency that you weren't even aware of before.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
So it's like you're expanding your awareness.
Exactly.
Okay. So meditation, mindfulness.
Yeah.
What else?
Okay, so this one might surprise you.
Okay. I'm ready.
Diet. Yeah.
Diet.
Yeah.
Really? What does food have to do with your third eye?
Well, it turns out that what we put into our bodies
Yeah.
affects our energy
Right.
and our vibration.
Okay.
And that includes our third eye.
So what kind of foods should people be eating?
Okay, so the article recommends focusing on foods that promote clarity and energy flow.
Okay.
So things like leafy greens,
Okay.
nut seeds,
Okay.
whole grains.
Okay.
Basically like natural whole foods.
So like clean eating?
Yeah, exactly, like clean eating.
Okay.
And on the flip side,
Yeah.
it's important to avoid foods that are processed and full of toxins
Okay.
because those can actually like cloud your third eye's perception.
So like sugar
Yeah, like sugar and processed foods.
or alcohol.
Yeah, alcohol and caffeine.
So basically like anything that makes you feel kind of gross.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. I can get behind that.
Yeah.
So we've got meditation, mindfulness, diet.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
One more that I think is really important.
Okay.
Connecting with nature
Okay.
Spending time in nature is like a natural way to ground yourself
Yeah.
and raise your vibration.
Okay.
It's like you're plugging into the Earth's energy.
It's like go for a walk in the woods.
Yeah, go for a walk in the woods, sit by a lake,
Yeah.
just be in nature.
Get some sunshine.
Yeah, get some sunshine.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
That's easy enough.
Yeah, it's a simple but powerful practice.
Yeah. And it feels good.
It does feel good.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got a lot of good tips here
Yeah, we
for how to enhance third eye awakening.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember that
Yeah.
it's a journey.
Right.
It's not like a destination.
It's not like you just wake up one day and you're like, boom, third eye activated.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a process.
Yeah.
And it takes time and patience.
And practice.
Practice, yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'm really curious to dive into like how this actually affects our relationships with other people.
Ooh, yeah, me too.
Like, how does this heightened awareness play out in our interactions with others?
I know that's a really fascinating aspect of this whole thing.
Yeah, because it's one thing to be like, having these experiences on your own.
Right.
But then how does that translate into like your day-to-day life?
Totally.
Yeah.
And especially your relationships.
Yeah. So let's get into that.
Okay, let's do it. Well,
Yeah.
one of the big things is empathy. Like, you start to experience empathy on a whole other level.
Okay.
It's not just like understanding how someone feels.
Right.
It's like actually feeling it yourself.
Whoa.
Yeah, it can be pretty intense.
So like if someone's sad, you actually feel their sadness.
You feel, yeah. And it's not just sadness.
Okay.
There's any emotion.
So if someone's angry,
You feel their anger.
you feel their anger.
Yeah, and it's not just people you're close to.
Really?
Yeah, it could be like anyone you come into contact with.
Wow. So like strangers on the street.
Yeah, potentially.
That sounds kind of overwhelming.
It can be.
How dare you even handle that?
Well, that's where those energetic boundaries come in.
Okay.
Like, remember we were talking
This
about
shield.
Yeah, the shield.
Yeah.
That's super important.
Yeah.
Because if you're not careful, you could become like an emotional sponge.
Oh, yeah. Just soaking it all up.
Soaking it all up. Yeah, and that can be really draining.
Right.
So you have to learn to protect your energy.
So it's not just about protecting yourself from negative energy. It's
Yeah.
about being selective with what you allow in.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like having a filter.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So how does all of this affect like actual relationships with people?
You're right.
Like what happens when one person starts to experience this third eye awakening
Right.
and the other person is just like,
Totally oblivious.
yeah, like living their normal life?
Yeah. Well, it can definitely create some challenges.
Like how, so,
Well, for one thing, you might find that your communication style changes.
okay.
Like you're expressing yourself more authentically.
Yeah.
You're choosing your words more carefully.
Yep.
You're speaking from a place of greater truth.
So it's like you're just more aware,
Yeah, more aware and more intentional.
but the other person might not be used to that.
Right? They might not understand where you're coming from.
Right, and they might misinterpret things.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
it can lead to a lot of misunderstandings.
Oh, that sounds frustrating.
It can be, yeah.
And what about like friendships?
Yeah.
Like what if your friends are just like not into any of this stuff?
Right.
Like they think it's all woo-woo.
Totally. Well, you might find that you start to grow apart from those friends.
Really?
Yeah, because your interests and your values might start to shift,
Right.
and you might not resonate with them anymore.
So it's like you're on different paths.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're evolving, and they're not.
And that's okay.
It is okay. Yeah, it's natural.
But it's sad though.
It can be sad. Yeah, it's like saying goodbye to a part of your life,
Right.
but it's also an opportunity to make new connections.
With people who are on the same wavelength.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's still tough though.
It is tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Change is always tough.
Okay, so we've talked about communication and friendships.
Yeah.
What about like the potential for manipulation?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Because if you're more empathetic
Right.
and you're picking up on people's energy,
Mm,
couldn't that make you more vulnerable to like energy vampires?
absolutely. Yeah, that's a real risk.
Like people who drain your energy.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not always intentional.
Really?
You know, sometimes people just have low energy and they unconsciously drain the energy of those around them.
So it's like they're not doing it on purpose,
Right.
but it still affects you?
It still affects you. Yeah.
Wow. So how do you protect yourself from that?
Well, that's where discernment comes in.
Okay.
Like you have to learn to distinguish between energies that are genuinely yours
Uh-huh.
versus energies that are coming from external sources.
So like if you're feeling something,
Yeah.
You have to ask yourself,
Is this mine?
is this mine or is this someone else's?
Okay, that's good advice.
Yeah. And meditation can really help with that
Okay.
because it teaches you to become more aware of your own thoughts and feelings.
So you can differentiate.
Yeah. So you can separate yourself from the energy of others.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
So this whole third eye awakening thing, like a double-edged sword.
It is kind of, yeah.
Like you have all this amazing potential,
Yeah.
deeper connection, heightened intuition, but then you also have all these challenges.
Right.
Like you have to learn to manage your energy and protect yourself.
Yeah, it's a lot of responsibility.
It is a lot of responsibility.
But I think it's worth it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So is this something that like you just awaken and then that's it?
Good question.
Or is it more of an ongoing process?
That's a really good question, and it's something that the article actually addresses.
Okay, what does it say?
It says that it's not like a one and done thing. It's
Yeah.
not like you reach this peak state and then you're like, oh, I'm good.
Right.
I've arrived.
I'm enlightened.
Exactly. I can check that off my list.
Yeah, no, it's more like a muscle you have to keep exercising.
Okay.
It's an ongoing journey of growth and exploration.
You're always learning and evolving.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So how do we actually do that?
Right. Like how do we keep that third eye muscle toned?
Yeah. What are some practical things people can do?
Well, a lot of things we've already talked about.
Okay.
Like meditation, mindfulness, spending time in nature.
Yeah.
Those are all really important for the long haul.
So it's about consistency.
Yeah, exactly. Like making those practices a regular part of your routine.
Okay.
But it's not just about the practices themselves.
Okay.
It's also about your mindset,
Okay.
like staying curious and open to new ideas.
So like reading books?
Yeah, reading books, exploring different spiritual traditions,
Okay.
talking to people who are on a similar path.
So it's like constantly expanding your awareness.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah,
Like
and
that.
and don't be afraid to like challenge your beliefs.
Oh, yeah. Get uncomfortable.
Yeah, get uncomfortable
Yeah.
because that's where the growth happens
Right.
when you're outside of your comfort zone.
Okay, so meditation, mindfulness, nature diet,
Mm-hmm.
curiosity,
Yeah.
openness.
Yep.
What about community?
Oh yeah, community is huge.
Okay.
Because like you were saying earlier,
Yeah.
it can be really isolating
Right.
to go through this alone.
Yeah.
So connecting with like-minded people,
Yeah.
sharing experiences and wisdom.
Having people who get it
Yeah, exactly.
makes sense.
It can make all the difference.
So find your tribe.
Find your tribe, yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think this has been a really fascinating deep dive
Me too.
into the world of third eye awakening.
Yeah. It's such a rich and complex topic.
It is, and I feel like we've only just scratched the surface.
We have. There's so much more to explore.
But I think we've given our listeners a good foundation
Yeah, definitely.
to start their own exploration.
And hopefully inspire them to learn more.
Yes, and to connect with their own intuition.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what this is all about.
It is.
It's about tapping into that inner wisdom
Yeah.
that we all have.
That's always there.
Yeah, even if we're not aware of it.
Exactly.
So to our listeners,
Yes.
what resonated most with you from this conversation?
Ooh, good question.
What are you curious to learn more about?
Yeah.
And what small step might you take today
Ooh,
to explore your own third eye potential?
I love that.
Yeah. Until next time,
Keep diving deep.
keep diving deep.